Last look to me means that someone has already picked to work with you. The pure admission of saying, would you mind lowering your price, means that they have already picked you. So why don't I ask why? Change the word why to how come. And then you shut up and listen. Too many sellers show up to that conversation with, hey, if you don't lower the price, you're not going to win the work. That's the leverage. But we give it up if we don't ask the questions. Well, I am Stevenson Brooks. Welcome. Let me start by giving you just a quick little idea around last look. So for me, when I started coaching and training salespeople in the aggregate, ready mix, asphalt, cement world, I would hear the term last look and I would go, ooh, I don't like that. That doesn't sound good. And I would kind of push back against it. It felt to me like last look meant that I'm going to have to lower my price. And so what that did was it made me skeptical that if I'm going to teach salespeople how to be better at their craft and be better in this industry, I got to stay away from this last look because we're just going to give away all of our profit. But as I started learning more about the business, as I started getting deeper into the world of ready mix and cement and aggregate, I started seeing like, oh, wait a second. Last look means something different now. Last look to me means that someone has already picked to work with you. And let me explain it. So there is, I call it quoting and hoping. There's the idea that if I can't win a job if I don't quote it. So I send out the quote and I'm going to get a response from my buyer, my customer that says, hey, I wanted to go with you, but your price was too high. That's what I call last look, right? You got a last look from somebody. Now, maybe it's called something different than a last look. Sharpen your pencil, take another look at it. Can you do something about the price? But basically, they said something to the effect of, I want to go with you, but your price is too high. What I hear every seller do, because they think price is the way that they win work, is they say, ooh, what price do I need to be at? Now, let me just do the math here. I've got two quotes in front of me, and one quote is more expensive than the other. Shouldn't I just pick the cheaper one? If it's all about price, shouldn't I just go with the cheaper quote? I already have it in front of me. Let me just buy from them. But that's not what's happening with last look. They're actually calling the person who's more expensive, and calling, I say all the time. So it could be you called them, they called you, an email, whatever it is. They respond to you and say, hey, I want to go with this quote, your quote, but your price is too high. Can you do something about it? Now, why would they pick you? You're already too expensive. Well, there must be a reason that they want to work with you. And that's the part that I work with sellers constantly to try and have them find out the reason. Find out what compelled them to go with the more expensive person, because it doesn't make sense. They shouldn't pick you if you're too expensive, if the premise is that people always buy on price. So by the pure admission of saying, would you mind lowering your price, means to me that they have already picked you. And I'd venture to say that they've already picked you before you even gave them the quote. They already knew they wanted you. Our job as a great seller is to find out why they picked us. So the knee-jerk reaction when somebody calls you and says, I want to go with you, but your price is too high, is for us to say, how low do I need to be? What's the competitor's price? What do I have to match? Let me see what I can do. And then we go off and we negotiate with our boss. What I want you to do differently, and that's our first, little jam session here today, is I want you to think about it differently. I want you to think, because they're talking to me, they already want to work with me. They've already displayed to me by calling or engaging with me at any level and asking me to sharpen my pencil that they want to work with me. So why don't I ask why? So funny story about why. Some of you may feel like asking somebody why is a little bit too direct. And one of my early students that I trained on this pushed back quite a bit, or just had a hard time saying it the way that I was saying it in my conversations with him, in my coaching. And eventually he tried the move out, and it turns out he changed the word why to a couple words called how come. It just softened it up. So I've adopted that. So it's really, how come? So you want to work with us? How come? And then you shut up and listen. What I call pause for effect. Whatever they say right now is going to give you the clues that you need to tell you why they want to pick you. Now, let's run through some lists. You're closer. You've got better customer service. You've got better availability. You've got smarter people handling the dispatch and coordinating things. You've got safer drivers. You've got creamiest mud if you're selling ready mix. You've got the cleanest rocks. Like, there's something about what's going on in your offering that they are preferring. They actually want to work with you, and they've said it by asking you to negotiate a lower price. But we never ask the question. I was literally on a call today with a student, and he said he and his boss were in the meeting, and the customer said, well, I want to go with you guys, but instead of price this time, they said, but last time we worked with you, we had all these problems. And so my seller and his boss both started, well, we're going to do it differently. We're going to do this, and don't worry about it. And, and they tried to appease the objection that they heard, and then they waited, and they did not get the deal. They didn't find out why the customer wanted to work with them. All they heard was some objection. Your price is too high. Your service was bad last time, whatever that is. So not only did they eventually lose the work, which is interesting, and we'll talk about that in a second, but now they also don't get any intel. So I know that we're supposed to go out in the marketplace and we're supposed to figure out and find out what the price is at. What's the market price? Well, why is it that the cheapest competitor out there sets the market price? Why is it typically the one that people don't want to work with? They only work with them because they're cheaper. Why is that the company that's setting the market price? What is the market price? The market price is whatever the customer will pay to get what they want. And if they've expressed preference, so instead of pricing intel, I want preference intel. If they've expressed preference, if they actually say, I want to work with you at any level, and you don't know why they want to work with you, then we're missing out on the preference intelligence that we need. We're missing out on the data that's going to help us later close them. Now, let me full loop this. I want to work with you, but your price is too high, or you had some problems in the past, or you did this, or whatever. Okay, well, hold on a second. You want to work with us? Like, how come? And they say, well, you guys have got this, this, and this. And you say, really, tell me more about that. You dig in, and you find out why they want to work with you. Now, what do we do? Well, now I can say, well, wait a second. So you're saying that you'd rather go with the competitor at their cheaper price than go with me at my more expensive price? You'd rather go with the competitor who you've got some kind of other problems with rather than going with me that you feel has all this value to give you? I don't understand why it's not worth spending a few dollars or taking another chance with us or doing work with us. I don't understand. Help me understand that. You see, what's happening is if I'm going to go into a negotiation, I want leverage. I want actually to go in knowing that I've got something that I can negotiate with. But I find too many sellers show up to that conversation with, hey, if you don't lower the price, you're not going to win the work. What are you going to do? And we go, I guess I'll go see if I can lower the price. And that's it. There is no, I'm the guy that you know that you want to work with, or I'm the gal that you want to work with. I'm the person that you want to work with. I'm the company that you want to go with. That's the leverage. But we give it up if we don't ask the questions. Now, interestingly about this one this morning, not only did they put out their number, quote and hope, as I call it, they quoted and hoped that they got it. But all of a sudden, the customer was very hard to get a hold of after the quote. He was plain hard to get? No. He had already decided to go with a competitor, but hadn't told our seller. But before that, he was very anxious to get another quote. Very anxious to get a quote from him. Lots of conversations, very easy to get a hold of. But after the fact, once he got the quote in his hands, very hard to get a hold of. So it's a pinnacle point in here that I want to just really stress today, just in our basic kickoff of last look, is if I want to be in the last look position and I want to find out why someone prefers me, I need to ask my questions before I give them the quote. And here's the rub. Most of my sellers believe that a fast quote is on their way to success. See, if you believe that a quote is what gets you work and the low price is what gets you work, then you're going to try and put the lowest number down the fastest way you can to get that quote to them. And sometimes you might actually get work, but you don't know why you got it. And sometimes you might think it's price. You might think it's fast turnaround of the quote. And the customer would love to tell you that. Yeah, keep on pricing me low and we're going to be great. But the truth of it is that if we don't slow it down a little bit and figure out like, ooh, before I quote, I can ask questions. So let me ask some questions and learn before I send them the quote. And now I'm sitting around hoping that they're going to buy from me. So my challenge for you for this next week, and we're going to be doing these lives here every week. While we go through this process of me learning this tool, I'm going to be sharing my philosophies around this. And what I need you to do is on the week between sessions is practice. Try some things out, try a move. And so my biggest move for you today is to find out why people prefer you. Why do they like working with you? What's the thing that makes you different? To do that, you need to ask questions. And it's a really, really tough question, but it goes something like this. Hey, customer who always buys from me, can I ask you a dumb question? Sure, Steve, what do you got? Why do you guys prefer to work with us? Aren't we all the same? And shut up and listen. That's it. So call on customers that buy from me. I hope you have some partners that work with you all the time. Call on them and ask them a simple question, or when you meet with them or whatever. I say call all the time, but that means meet in person, take their call, get their call, email even if you want to. But the key is ask them the question of why they prefer to work with you, because they already do. Now, if they say because you guys are the cheapest, okay, that's good feedback. But if they say, well, I like your something or other, ask a little bit more behind it. Just ask a follow-up question. Really? How come? Really? Tell me more. What's that about? I don't understand. Help me understand. Give me more information. And so all we're looking to do is to build a catalog for us to know why people value us. Now, in my world, I have other sales training programs out there, but I find that a lot of the sales trainers don't know very much about ready-mix concrete. They don't know what a short load fee is. They don't understand what somebody pulling a move on them to try and get out of a standby time or to negotiate a back charge, or they don't understand the industry very much, and they don't know how crazy it is every morning when you get those phone calls of where's my truck. So in the sales training world, I differentiate myself by being somebody who actually understands your world a little bit better. That provides value. What is it that you do? So we're talking about the company and the value it brings, but what do you, the seller, bring? What's your secret sauce? What's your thing that brings some magic to the sales process, to the sales call, or the operational working with you? I would venture to guess that your experience, your intelligence, your responsiveness, your availability, your troubleshooting and problem solving, your accuracy. There's a whole bunch of things that probably go on your resume that you maybe didn't know that people value. So part one is ask some of your partners what they value about your company. But part two is to ask, is there any difference between me as your rep compared to other reps you work with? Now, again, if you don't feel comfortable asking it, I get it. It may seem a little braggadocious. It may seem a little bit like, hey, tell me about me. But we need to get some research done in the beginning here to find out what our special features are, our features and benefits. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I've heard from hundreds of coaching clients that I've had that there's some really cool reasons why people work with you, some that you didn't even know. I had a customer last year and I heard this one. They went to the job site and the superintendent on the job site said, night and day. Thank you so much. And my seller was like, wait, what? Night and day, what does that mean? The competitors' drivers, whenever there's a delay, they get out of their truck, but your driver stayed in the truck. My seller's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, when I need them to go, they were right there. When I needed them to back in, they were ready to go. They weren't dilly-dallying around. And all the other drivers from the competitor would do that. And my seller was blown away. This is a feature that I didn't even know I had. Just drivers that actually showed up and stayed in their truck and they were ready when there's a delay at the job site. Fascinating. Now, in later sessions, we're going to take this data and now I can ask, hey, have you ever get frustrated because things are running behind on your job site? And then once you finally want to kick things going, the drivers aren't anywhere around. If those were my drivers, I'd be selling them. There's value there. So find out what it is that your company is already doing better for your existing partners that you have. The existing customer base that work with you pretty diligently, don't get other quotes. They just work with you all the time. And then the next time you're in a last look scenario, ask them why they're picking you. Hey, I'm just curious. I'm happy to go look at the pricing and see what I can do, but is there a reason you want to go with us on this project? That's it. That's the question. I'd love to adjust the price. I'm not sure if I can. Let me go find out about that. I'll see what I can do. I'll get my pencil sharpener out. I'll try my best. But I'm just curious, before I go do that, can you answer this one question for me? Why are you thinking of going with us? Why are we the right fit for this project? Why would you like to work with us? And I hope you hear some good stuff. Now, if they give you the, then you might have to ask a second time. No, I'm really curious. No, I really do want to know. If you don't mind sharing, you got to get them to say it. So partners already know. Last look already knows, but they don't want to let you know because they want to negotiate your price. And now our next bucket of customers. This is what most of my students have, is a bunch of quote and hope customers. That's what I call them. You guys call them all customers, so I had to break them out into different buckets. I'll visualize that for you next time. But partnership, last look, and now underneath the line, as I call it, our quote and hope. They don't understand your value, so we quote them and hope that we get it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping. And I didn't coin that phrase. That came from sellers that I coached, and I'd say, what's going on? They go, oh, I quoted this big job. And I go, cool, are you going to get it? And they're like, well, I don't know. I hope so. You don't know if you're going to get it? No, it's secret. They don't tell anybody. They're tight-lipped. They don't share quotes. Like, no. I'm not talking about, did you have the lowest price? I'm saying, do they prefer to work with you? See, because if you don't know before you quote if they prefer to work with you, you are hoping. And you may have to go with a low price quote in the hopes that they will see you as a commodity and just say, they're all the same. Let me just go with the cheapest burger I can get. But once you start differentiating yourself from the pack, once you start realizing that you actually have value, that you are actually the special sauce, you're the reason that your burger is so tasty, that's when the game starts getting in your favor. That's when you start getting control of the game, where you can actually now have great conversations with customers prior to a bid, prior to the project going, prior to them winning the bid even, figuring out who do they prefer on this project? Who would be the right one to go with? If it's not you yet, fix that. If it is you, now we know we're already in last look, maybe even partner position. We already know that we've got this job. Now it's just going to be a little arm wrestling to figure this thing out. So in summary, last look for me, painful. I literally remember being in front of 40 people in a conference room and they would tell me about last look. And I'm like, you just let a customer call you and all you do is reduce the price? Like, that's terrible. But I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't realize how important that step was. Last look is vital for me to build partnerships with people. I need to get last look from a quote and hope. I need to get them up into this last look bucket. And the way I do that is I close them before I quote. I make sure that they know that I'm the one they want to work with before we negotiate the price, before I even quote it. My favorite question that I think you could probably ask when someone says, hey, can you give me a quote for XYZ job that starts in XYZ day? I'm sure you get those requests all the time. My favorite question is like, hey, I'd love to. Have you already figured out who you want to work with on this project? Have you already chosen who you're going to go with? Do you already have a supplier you'd like to work with? That's it. In your brain, you might already go, well, how would they know, Steve? They got to wait for the quote. And I'm saying that's exactly right. You're going to make their brain go, well, if we had our druthers, we'd probably go with XYZ because they're closer. Or we'd probably go with these guys because we have a long relationship with them. Or we'd probably go with you guys because they would tell you what their preference is. It's just you asking the question instead of, oh, okay, how many yards and when do you need it by? Okay, let me, I'm pulling in, I'll get it on my laptop and I'll send you a quote as fast as I can. And then we follow up and say, hey, how am I looking? If we just do that question before we quote it, hey, I'm curious. Let's say the quotes all come back and they're the same exact price. Who would you go with? How come? So that's how I'll leave you with today. I hope you had a good time. I'm going to practice, get better at this, invite more people to it. And if you have any questions, if you want to learn more, if you have a specific question that didn't get popped up there that I can put into a next episode, DM me, send me a message. I'd love to get this started. But I appreciate you taking the time, and thanks. Last look to me means that someone has already picked to work with you. The pure admission of saying, would you mind lowering your price, means that they have already picked you. So why don't I ask why? Change the word why to how come. And then you shut up and listen. Too many sellers show up to that conversation with, hey, if you don't lower the price, you're not going to win the work. That's the leverage. But we give it up if we don't ask the questions.